If you take a look here, you'll see one home has been completely torn apart. The tornado touched down 2 miles north of Belvoir. Today would have been the second presidential debate, but instead, President Trump is continuing his string of campaign rallies. I'm actually standing in a pretty wide stance, and I can feel the wind kind of pushing and pulling me. A filibuster from Senator Bill Sherrod today prevented the New Mexico voting rights legislation from seeing a full vote. It would have made changes to elections, but instead he talked about everything from trains to the Spanish-American War to take up time killing the bill. Tonight's game against the Nevada Wolfpack is nearly a sellout, with more than 15,000 tickets being sold. At last night's city council meeting, Tammy Feeblecorn asked administrators one pointed question after another about sustainability and didn't like the incomplete answers. Winds are pushing northeast, and law enforcement is cautioning that the area I'm in right now could be the next evacuation point. Alexis Avila was emotional in court as the jury found her guilty of child abuse resulting in great bodily harm and the alternate charge of attempt to commit first-degree murder. 7 witnesses testified, the majority of them former neighbors of the Martins family, one after one telling the jury similar stories about the loud banging and yelling that woke them up after Victoria was killed. This yellow bin under the Marquette overpass is for recycling glass only. Some people say they would like to see curbside pickup for glass to make it easier to recycle, but the city says that would require a significant expansion of Albuquerque's current program. The U.S. Forest Service announced its plan to shoot down more than 100 cattle roaming in places they shouldn't be, saying they pose a threat to people in sensitive areas of the wilderness. But the president of the New Mexico Cattle Growers Association says he doesn't believe the U.S. Forest Service has the authority to do it. UNM student Maya Hill told police during an interview that Travis and her friends came up with a plan to jump Peak. Her role was to lure Peak onto campus on November 19th when NMSU was in town to play UNM in a basketball game.
It's getting closer to my house.
A barrage of gunfire.
What's he look like?
I can't tell. I took a quick look, but bullets are going everywhere.
May 15th, Farmington dispatchers received hundreds of calls about an active shooter. Their quiet neighborhood under attack.
I've heard at least 50 rounds here. Somebody's going nuts.
Callers begging police to hurry while taking cover in homes.
There's a guy shooting a gun outside.
Okay, there.
I hear you.
Honey, stay down there. Safest place.
More than 200 calls incoming as police say 18-year-old Bo Wilson was relentlessly shooting at people driving by his home.
Sounds like maybe an AK or an AR-15, and it's still going on.
Others describing what the suspect looked like.
There's a guy walking that has black pants and a black shirt on and a gun, and he's just randomly shooting.
Amid the chaos, citizens were helping direct traffic away from the gunfire.
There's gunshots going on. Don't go down there. Don't go down there.
At one point, the shooter's own mother made a call to police.
I have a son that's been very, very depressed, and I'm driving over there. I'm just wondering if you could give me any information.
Non-stop panicked calls, but dispatchers remained calm.
I'm going to let you go. We've got lots of calls coming in.
During his violent rampage, Wilson killed 3 elderly women, Shirley Voida, Melody Ivy, and Gwendolyn Schofield.
A lady's in a car, and it looks like there was a bullet that went to the windshield, and she's bleeding bad.
6 other people were injured, including 2 police officers. One victim drove through the ambush to pick up her grandchild from school.
Her vehicle has been shot several times. She has wounds on her hand, and she needs medical attention.
Another victim shot in the head was taken to the ER by his daughter.
I'm actually at the hospital right now, but I just wanted to let you guys know my dad got shot. I dropped him off at the ER, but he got shot.
8 minutes from that first 911 call, police close in on the gunman, killing him.
Got cuffs right here. Cuff him.
At the end of the day, we want our city to look better. We want us to be more presentable. This is a good neighbor ordinance. It just says if you have a property, you have to keep it up.
Albuquerque City Councilor Pat Davis is introducing legislation that amends existing ordinances regarding nuisance properties. If passed, everything will be done under the city's planning department's code enforcement division.
So when the code enforcement officer goes out, they don't have to call somebody else to deal with another problem. We're going to deal with all the problems right then and there with the applicant or with the property owner so that we can get ahead of those a lot quicker.
The legislation expands the definition of public nuisance, adds civil fines, and changes the hearing and administrative appeals process.
This lets us intervene earlier with people who are just starting to have a problem.
Before the COVID pandemic, the city did an evaluation and found more than 1,200 properties that have been abandoned or become an unattractive nuisance.
It seems to be something that people just won't stay away from. None of this changes the fact that it's dangerous, and eventually it's just going to collapse on somebody, whether they're rightfully there or not. And so it does need to be torn down.
According to Counselor Davis, one of the issues with the current nuisance ordinance is that when an officer writes a citation, it has to go to court. Back in 2020, cell phone video captured a chaotic scene on the corner of 5th and Central. Police responded to a man who was shot just outside of the Chemo Theater.
Downtown on Friday and Saturday nights, it does get a little bit rowdy. You know, there's a lot of bars down here. There's young college-age kids.
The incident didn't shock people.
I'm not surprised at all. There's a lot of shootings, a lot of violence.
But what is surprising people is that 3 years later, APD arrested 46-year-old Patrick Alvarado for the murder. But Judge Jennifer Warnersbach later released him and told him to avoid guns and gang members and to keep a job, despite the DA's motion to keep him behind bars as a danger to the community.
When we file a pretrial detention motion, we make our arguments in the courtroom. And we stand behind those arguments in the courtroom. However, a judge is going to make a decision, whatever decision they make, we respect, and we'll move forward.
According to the criminal complaint, on the night of the killing, Alvarado claimed the shooting was in self-defense. But once the case was taken over by a new investigator, the detective compared Alvarado's story to surveillance video. APD says the video evidence contradicted Alvarado's story. They also discovered Alvarado was a bandito, and the victim, Philip Quintel, was a member of a rival biker gang.
We have a problem with the overall pretrial detention process. That's not to single out any particular judge. That's to talk about the process in itself.
Ariana Kraft, KRQE News 13.
I am truly sorry.
19-year-old Alexis Avila went before a judge to learn her fate after being found guilty of child abuse resulting in great bodily harm and attempted first-degree murder. Avila was caught on camera throwing her newborn into a Hobbs dumpster in 2022.
I regret that his first hours of life were traumatic, and I regret that he will always have this in the back of his head and will think I do not love him.
Avila's mother and father pleaded with the judge to cut their daughter a break.
I truly believe that Alexis was not in the right state of mind when all this occurred. Your Honor, I ask of you that you please have mercy on her soul.
At sentencing, one of Avila's therapists also addressed the judge to speak on her mental health issues.
Alexis also discussed how she was never able to express her emotions to others, that she would often shut down or kind of disassociate from what she is feeling and what she is thinking.
The state asked for the maximum sentence of 18 years in prison.
She was attempting to kill the most innocent life, the most helpless life of her own child.
The child's father told the judge this is the day his son will finally get justice.
I will never forgive or forget what happened January 7th. If it weren't for those three angels that evening, we would be here for different reasons.
The defense asked the judge to show Avila leniency and to consider her age, lack of criminal history, and her mental health. But in the end, Judge William Shoebridge sentenced Avila to 16 years in prison and 2 years of parole.
To toss one's own child into a dumpster like trash is something that it is an unforgivable event by any mother.
After sentencing, Avila's attorney confirmed they will be filing an appeal.
So it's a little disappointing that our prosecution, our community was asking for blood on the backs of this 18-year-old girl.
A statement from District Attorney Diana Lush said in part, this sentence is a warning to all who would try to kill innocent children that you will be held accountable. Ariana Kraft, KRQE News 13.
Today's our only day, so yeah, it needs to happen today, this morning.
People from all over the world come to New Mexico for Balloon Fiesta to see hot air balloons fill the sky. But sometimes the weather gets in the way.
We're always concerned about that, but there's no control over Mother Nature, so we're here to have a good time either way.
On day 2 of this year's fiesta, officials determined weather conditions would delay the mass ascension. Nerves were at an all-time high.
Everybody's just kind of waiting, waiting to see what the weather does.
While the morning didn't go exactly as planned, people made the best of it.
The flag was yellow, so we didn't get to see Dawn Patrol, unfortunately. The drone show was really cool. It's like 3D LED lights. It was awesome.
And it didn't take long for things to take a turn for the better. Just before 8, the yellow flag was lowered and a green flag put up in its place. Soon after, hundreds of hot air balloons took to the sky.
It's actually pretty surreal. Like, I haven't seen people float away like that before.
Yeah.
So I just like seeing the baskets going up and all the people in it.
We love the balloons. We love just to come down here and hang out, and of course we're locals, so we see them from our house.
First-time Balloon Fiesta goers say the event exceeded their expectations, even with its rocky start this morning.
I think this is an event that everybody's got to come see at least once.
It's a bucket list item.
The Lee family drove 7 hours from Colorado, and they say it was well worth it.
I didn't expect this many balloons. I thought they were only going to be like 4 or 5.
We recommend everyone come and check it out. It's a one-in-a-lifetime kind of thing to check. So.
Ariana Kraft, KRQE News 13.